So, welcome to spring. Cheers to us.
Yeah, so it was a long winter. Not as bad as some years. Certainly had a break, at least here, pretty early. The fool spring turned out to be basically the real spring. So it's been pretty good. This video is us getting out for one of the first times. The snow is still on the ground, as you can see here, but it's clear enough, and the mud isn't so bad, although we had some troubles. But we wanted to get out there and start doing stuff.
Yeah, and it was, kind of feels like having an edge on spring. You know, like we've got this whole month here that we're able to start doing stuff that we weren't able to really plan on having, you know, because we can have snow on the ground until the end of April. So this has been pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, we often we have at least one big storm after this point. And we had a little bit. We had one day where it kind of built back up a little bit, but nothing like previous years. So we've been pretty lucky this year.
We're in ice storm territory now, though.
Yeah.
Until June, basically.
Heavy winds. It's pretty volatile in the spring. But you'll be seeing us while we're talking through this stuff. Basically, we're just clearing out the deep bedding that we're using for our duck coop or the quack shack. We built this coop late last fall. The snow was already starting to land before we had the walls up. So it was a bit of a time crunch in the fall.
Yeah, and then immediately after, I think we mentioned this in our 21 projects video, but immediately after we finished it, we had a very severe windstorm where we had winds over 120 kilometers an hour sustained, which is like hurricane territory, I'm pretty sure. Like low cat, but like hurricane. And this is a garden shed, so it held. So we're pretty happy. We're pretty happy about that.
Yeah, we did reinforce the thing with 2x2s, a whole framework on the inside, and it's pretty reinforced at this point. We do have some ideas on ways that we're going to reinforce the peak a bit more, and that will help. We also have to do some extra ventilation, and there'll also probably some nesting boxes. Not that ducks use them that well, but some improvements over time. The pen was also a pain. We had to get that done before the snow was really there and the ground started to freeze, because we actually buried the fencing under the ground, kind of skirted it out, so that predators and dogs and stuff who are trying to get in there are going to take a lot longer to figure it out.
Yeah. This was a fun project to get done, though. It was nice. Nice to clean it out.
Come on, dog.
Nice to be in the sun.
For those who don't know about the deep bedding method, it's essentially the lazy man's way of dealing with poultry bedding, and I believe other animals too. But basically, you just keep adding new carbon material on top of the old, and it suppresses the smell and fumes, and it keeps everything fresh for them without the labor of having to remove it constantly. And then you just do it kind of all at once, which is what we're doing here. There are people who have really planned for this method and have cutouts, or they've built the shed up higher so that you can just shove it all out, the entire 1 foot of bedding, if it builds up that high, kind of all in one go. And the coop itself is raised so you can get the bucket of the tractor right up to it. And these are all things we considered, but we did have that time crunch, and also we didn't like the idea of it being up higher on a platform just because of our wind. We didn't need any more challenges as far as engineering.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a slightly different plan for this video, but the GoPro cut out, I don't know, an hour and a half too early. So we're kind of putting it together, and you may have noticed a little bit earlier in the video there was mention of a body. That's a joke. There's a spot on our property. There's a landscape cloth and cinder block tarp situation, and we just jokingly call it the body, because we haven't discovered what exactly it is, and maybe we're a little bit afraid that it actually is a body, but for the most part, it's a joke.
there is a lot of stuff that's just been haphazardly buried on our property. And I'm sure we'll do videos of us trying to like deal with that, but we have to dig up giant pieces of concrete. There's this really creepy cinder block inside of a garbage bag that's just sitting out there half buried. We haven't opened that. We haven't been brave enough yet. So maybe we'll do that. Well, maybe we'll take people's guesses on what's in there. My guess is hopefully just a cinder block in a garbage bag for no real reason. Yeah, lots of weird stuff all over the place. So we'll be dealing with that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So you may notice, I don't know how straight it's really looking on camera, but the posts, those are actually 4x4s. We figured the straight lumber was going to be a good look for things and make our life easier as far as attaching fencing and cross bracing. So we got the posts up. They did settle over the winter, and of course the heaving and all that. So they're not perfectly straight. We're going to have to do some straightening out this spring, and especially with the gates and stuff, anything that's holding weight. So we'll be rearranging those. We might have to add a top piece across the whole top of the pen. And then, of course, we're doubling this whole thing. We're doing another shed and a whole other pen right alongside it. So we'll see if we learned any lessons on the first one.
Hopefully we learned. Ideally, you do a project like this and then you wait a full calendar year before doing it again, and we're not doing that. So
we're just going to double down on our mistakes.
If there's mistakes, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, so we I think it's cut out, but at some point Lindsay gets annoyed enough with the mud that's starting to build up, and she's sliding around with the tractor. Squirrely Dan there.
Squirrely Dan.
And there she is, spinning a little bit.
Yeah.
So she went and got some of the wood chips. We've had different tree guys come and drop off wood chips, as well as the hydro company every once in a while.
If you're not in Ontario, hydro means power.
Is that not universal?
No, it's most certainly not universal. Everywhere I've ever traveled to, I've referred to it as hydro, and people are like, what are you talking about? So Hydro One is like our power company. So we say hydro, but what we mean is power. Because hydro, like everywhere else, means water. I don't know. It's, yeah.
So they're thinking we're talking about the water service?
Yes.
Yeah,
dropping off chips, which wouldn't make any sense.
Anyway, so we're going to get... Lindsay dropped off some chips right there and spread them out, so it kind of added some traction. We have some plans. We've seen Ben Falk using them for as a driveway.
Yeah.
So he's got a recent video where he put that out. So we're interested in that idea.
3 days after we were talking about it, which is great.
Yeah, so we might do that if we have enough chips. We have so many ways we can use them. I'm sure we'll do videos on wood chips in the future, but that's something we're excited about. But basically, this was just us getting out in the sun after a long winter, excited to do something, even if it smelled like duck poop.